Welcome everyone to the first game of the FIDE World Championship 2024. We have the young challenger 18-year-old Gukesh entering the playing venue. Gukesh removes his player card, puts his bottle there and now is ready to take fort against the world champion liren. Gukesh is just 18 years of age and is the youngest ever challenger to play the world championship match. If he wins this, he will become the youngest world champion ever. He entered the playing venue with a youngster from Singapore, Tanvi Trivedi there. And we have the host of the show, Grandmaster Maurice Ashley, in the background. Gukesh writes down his score sheet. And this is a very, very critical game. First game is always very nervy for the challenger and especially for Gukesh, who is playing his first ever world championship match. In comes the world champion liren from China. He enters with the youngster Ashwath Kaushik from Singapore. Ding also adjusts his chair. You can see how both the chairs are different for both players because I think they're given choice before the match to choose from which one they want to choose, and Gukesh chose the more gaming kind of a chair while Ding went for a more office kind of a chair there, a more simple one. Both players adjusting their pieces, getting ready for the big clash. The time control is 2 hours for 40 moves without increment and then 30 minutes after move 40. And for making the first move, we have the amazing Demish Hassabis, the CEO of Google DeepMind and also a Nobel laureate in chemistry. What an amazing person to make the first move. He also was a very strong chess player. He made 1 e4. The arbiter comes back and puts the pawn in its place. And we are about to kick off. Chief Arbiter Hamid is going to start the clock. You can see many journalists in the background. Handshake, and we are about to go. Gukesh opens the game with 1 e4. 14 game match here between these two. The first game has kicked off and Ding goes for the French defense. Wow, this is a surprise for sure, at least for us. But Ding has already played this opening against Nepo in the previous World Championship match. We have d5 and Gukesh brings his knight out to c3. Well, there are other ways also to play. You could push forward with e5 and play the advanced variation, but he goes knight c3. Knight comes out to f6. Two main moves now, bishop g5 and e5. Gukesh decides to take space in the center, pushes his pawn forward. The knight now goes back, knight d7. White has more space, but black intends to strike with c5. Gukesh solidifies his center with f4. And now the pawn comes to c5, hitting the base of white's pawn chain. The main move by far is knight f3. Many thousand games have been played, but Gukesh goes for the lesser known move, knight c e2. And that makes Ding think a bit, thinks for 3 minutes and brings his knight out to c6. Gukesh now solidifies his pawn chain. Look at this. He's lagging behind in development, but he has taken a lot of space in the center. And now a5. And that too after nearly 25 minutes of thought. The main move was queen b6, trying to attack the center, but he goes a5. And Ding perhaps wants to take space on the queen side. He keeps pushing his a pawn. a4 is on the board. And now Gukesh goes bishop e3. We have seen this happening before, I think in the game between Duda and Caruana. And now the bishop comes out to e7. You can see the timings on the clock. Gukesh has 1 hour 58 minutes and he makes the first new move of the game. The game Duda Caruana went queen d2, g4 played, and now after 14 minutes of thought, Ding goes queen a5. It's also now the first moment that Gukesh thinks he plays his bishop to g2. and now is getting ready to short castle. But Ding already creates a lot of pressure on this pawn chain. He plays a3, weakening the c3 square, and now after b3, the c3 pawn will get a bit weak, but the knight is protecting it. Ding takes on d4. He has 58 minutes on the clock. Gukesh has 1 hour 37 minutes, and he finds the best move, b4, attacking the queen so that later he can take with his e knight and doesn't have to worry about the c3 pawn. The queen goes back to c7, and now Gukesh takes knight e d4. He has a slightly pleasant position, 34 extra minutes on the clock. This looks good for him. And Gukesh is walking in the playing hall. Ding plays a very nice move. He wants to come to c4. It's a weakened square and it is a nice outpost for the knight. But what will Gukesh do next? One idea, of course, is to go knight b5, queen d8 and bishop f1, controlling this. But instead, Gukesh goes castles. Ding jumps in with the knight to attack the bishop, and the bishop has to drop back. He goes back bishop f2. And Ding Liren writes down the move. He's thinking about his next option here. And he plays bishop to d7. Gukesh now brings his queen to e2. He wants to push f5, but he first wants to get his rook in and wants to just solidify the e5 pawn before going for that move. Ding takes back on d4. Now, quite important, I believe, is to take with the bishop, because then you strengthen the center. Instead, Gukesh takes knight takes d4. Maybe not bad at all, but just that now getting f5 is not that easy. Knight comes to b2. This move attacks the pawn on c3, but also prepares queen c4. So queen comes up to e3, and you have to remember that if the rook comes to c1 to defend here, then the queen will attack the a2 pawn. That's what Ding wants. He goes and attacks the c3 pawn. Perhaps it's important to bring the other rook to c1, but Gukesh brings his a rook, and he does not believe in Ding's idea of queen c4 and queen a2 because he thinks it's too slow. But Ding goes for it. Wow, he's attacking here. Can Gukesh push forward with f5 now? That would be something, and Gukesh does it. He's like, Ding, take this at your own peril because I'm coming after your centralized king there. Ding now goes into some kind of a thought because he cannot really take this pawn. If he takes it, then after fe or even f6, this king is in trouble. So Ding finds this amazing move, queen d3. Because if queen f4, he has this powerful blow g5. And if you take fg, then queen takes g6, and black is already better here with knight d3 coming in. So Gukesh goes queen e1, but this is a passive move. And yes, he's defending the c3 pawn, but now the bishop can come in here and it would be extremely strong, because this is the move which really creates trouble. And Ding finds it. The rook cannot move away from the c file because the c3 pawn is hanging. And if you play rook c2, which Gukesh has done, then black has an insanely strong move, rook c4, attacking the knight and wanting to win the rook. He finds it. Amazing play here by Ding. He finds another strong move, rook c4. Now Gukesh goes h4, attacking the bishop. If you take on d4, he wants to take with the bishop, queen c2, hg5, and white is doing well. So here bishop f4, great move played by Ding instantly. You can also see the clock timings now. Gukesh has just 15 minutes. Ding has 30 minutes. Queen goes to b2, threatening rook takes b2, but now the rook takes the pawn. There was so much pressure on Gukesh, he had to give up that pawn. And he takes, rook takes c3, queen takes on c3. And how is Gukesh going to react next? He's lost a pawn. He must play it carefully. F e6. Now bishop takes e6 is the best move, but also f e6 not so bad. It will give Gukesh some chances. He takes it and Gukesh may be back in the game. Knight e2 is a fantastic move, hitting the queen and the bishop. Ding had to take this back with the bishop there, but he took back with the pawn, and now knight e2 fork is an important move. He finds it. He's losing a pawn on b4. He's also losing a pawn on e5. But now pawns are not important anymore. That's because the black king is in the center and it has to be caught there. Queen takes e5 taken, and now knight takes f4 is a very, very powerful move. Gukesh takes it. Knight takes f4. Queen takes f4. And now bishop c5 must be played. Yes, you give up another pawn, but you catch the king in the center. This is a very important moment, but Gukesh goes queen c2. And his point is you can't castle here because of bishop c5 hitting the queen and the rook. So it doesn't really right now work, the castling move. But there is a very powerful move that Ding has. And let's see if the world champion can find it. You can see Gukesh's chair there shaking. He is under pressure. Queen c4 found, the best move in the position, because if you take the queen, then I take back. But if you don't take the queen here, then black can safely castle in this position. This is how cool it is. And Gukesh asks the arbiter that I have less than 5 minutes on the clock. Should I just stop writing? And as per the rules, you can, because there's no increment. He castles. Bishop comes to d4. Now 3 minutes 38 seconds. 8 more moves to make. He goes knight d3. Fantastic move. Attacking the bishop here. 6 minutes 32 seconds for Ding Liren. Queen e3 played here by Gukesh. And now Ding needs to find a very, very important sequence. He takes. Bishop takes. Isn't he losing the knight here? e5 found. What a move. Bishop takes e5 played by Gukesh, because you can't take with the knight. You will lose the queen. But now takes here. The bishop comes to g2 and says, how many moves have been completed? 36 moves have been completed. Gukesh has 43 seconds. He's under tremendous pressure. Actually, it's very rare to see Gukesh in this mode. And he's writing down some moves there. Bishop g2. Bishop comes to f5. Another very powerful move found there by Ding. He wants to put his bishop on e4. Bishop comes back to g3. And now Ding plays bishop e4, offering a trade. He's right now 2 pawns up and completely winning. He can now h6, very, very calm and cool move there by Ding, making a space for the king later to go to h7. Bishop h3 played by Gukesh. He has almost 4 seconds and last one more move to make. Queen d1. Now Gukesh he has to make a move quickly. He goes bishop d6 with 1 second on the clock. He reaches the time control. The problem though is that he gets 30 extra minutes now. However, his position is utterly lost. King goes to g3. And now Ding can safely take the pawn. The arbiters come in and I think they're going to say the 40 moves have been completed. And they ask the players to write down the moves on their score sheet. Well, we often receive a lot of comments in our YouTube channel as to why do the players in this modern era have to write score sheets. What's the reason for it? Well, perhaps it's just the tradition, right from Stenitz in the late 1800s to now Gukesh and Ding in 2024. All the players have written down their score sheet, and perhaps that is what chess is all about. It is keeping a balance between modernness and tradition. 40 moves completed. Ding goes back into the resting area that he has. Gukesh gives a check. Now the important thing that Ding has to avoid is king h7, because if he plays this, there's queen e4 check, de and bishop a2. This is not losing, but it would end in a draw. So has to put his king on h8 and he finds it. King h8 played by Ding. Very strong move here by him. And now Gukesh resigns. The first game goes to the world champion. Gukesh has lost this first encounter, but what a game by Ding. He showed his class, he kept his cool. The arbiters come in. We have the arbiters plus the fair play officer, and Gukesh actually has a lot of work to do now in this match. It seemed like Ding would not be in his top shape, but he came all guns blazing. In fact, this is the third classical win for Ding against Gukesh, and Gukesh has never beaten him before. And also, this is the first classical win for Ding Liren after 304 days. Wow! What a big victory there for the world champion, who was struggling before coming into this match but showed what he's really capable of. Gukesh, as always, arranges the board, touches the board for blessings. Chess is an important part of his life and will look forward to making a strong comeback.
This December, the world's top chess minds clash in the heart of New York City at the FIDE World Rapid and Blitz Championship. Witness world number one Magnus Carlsen and other stars from across the globe. Rapid and Blitz, chess in its most thrilling form, unpredictable and unforgettable. Fast moves, tactics and blunders, and moments that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Witness the pinnacle of chess excitement. Get your tickets now at worldrapidandblitz.fide.com.